Fellas, ladies, you looking for lotions? You looking for beard oils? But unfortunately, everything you get from mainstream got chemicals in it and they're probably killing you? No problem, we got you. Go check out my people from Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. That's Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. www.top2bottom, BOTTU, the U is for unique, M.com. Tell them I sent you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome again to Ron's Opinion Don't Matter. Hopefully, y'all having a blessed, wonderful day. Hopefully, y'all is well. Um, Had a little bit of a glitch and stuff going on. Who cares? Life is beautiful. Just can't get away from all of them. Sometimes you just run into issues, and it is what it is. But hopefully, y'all having a blessed day. Hopefully, y'all having a wonderful day. Welcome again. Ron's Opinion Don't Matter on the OG Network. I'm gonna do my best not to be here too long, but last few days stock market has took a dive. Um, Sometimes that usually what happens after they announce interest rates and stuff like that, and so I just took it upon myself to start buying. You know what I mean? So I just started spending some money, took some money out of some one place, moved it to somewhere else. But I always try to tell people, I'm not a financial advisor. Not in anybody way I do. I tell people what not to do with their money. Usually when I'm talking about money, I'm talking about what I'm doing, what I'm going to do, what I might do, what I possibly do. Just trying to find different ways to try to increase my personal net wealth, which ain't much. And that's real talk. So today I decided to up my game. Um, Took some money out of one place, just decided to buy something else. And I've been buying a little bit here and there, but I went a little bit heavier, and I'm not gonna say heavy, but dumped some money in the SVOL, a couple of shares of that. I bought a couple of shares of SV. Well, and I bought a few shares of ECC. Actually, I bought a lot. I wanted to get up to 100 shares, so I ain't gonna say I bought a few. Good morning. Good morning. Slam S-A. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm just say Slam. But yeah, I bought some more of that, and then where's it at? What's going on? The real mean cat. And I bought some more ACC. Hold on one second. ACC. And like I said, this is not a suggestion for anybody to buy, purchase, or sell any stocks. This is just telling y'all what I did this morning already as the stock market opened. What's up, Benny? How you doing? What would I say to my younger self? There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot that I would say to my younger self. What's up, out the pit? How you doing? God bless you. Welcome in. Welcome in. Do a brother a favor for those that are on the live. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. But if I had to talk to my younger self, it's hard to say about when it comes to money and stuff like that, because I was always a person that believed in saving. But if I had to talk to my younger self, this is the biggest thing that I will say that will simplify it the most is, young man, regardless of what you do in life, maximize your assets and minimize your liabilities. And then I will find out, and then I will tell and find out what that really means. That is, if there was anything that I will say, because I do say this to a lot of young people that I come across and stuff, I say, maximize your assets and minimize your liabilities. Now, that's a vast information, and find out what that means. And then what I mean by that is that if the person go and buy a house and they was to purchase, a house or whatever the cost of it is, they make a choice at that moment that their house is either going to be a liability or an asset. If they buy the house and they rent the house out, it becomes an asset because it could possibly is making you money if it's actually making you money. If you buy a house and you move in that house, then it becomes a liability because you're responsible financially for every aspect of the cost of that home. So that's what I would mean by buying, making sure you maximize. Hey, Queen, how you doing? God bless you. God bless you. That's what I mean by maximizing your assets and minimizing your liabilities. And you can, some things and stuff that you could buy, it might start out as a liability, but find a way to make it an asset. That's all. You know what I mean? Like if let's say you got a house that you actually live in, and this is a simplified way to do it, and then you decide, you know what, I'm gonna start a home-based business, and you start to do business out of your house, whatever way it is. That house that was an asset, a liability at that time, starts to become an asset because now you're using that facility as a means of making money. Same thing with a vehicle. You buy a vehicle and you just driving your vehicle every day, it's a liability. But if you're taking that vehicle and you start doing Uber and you start doing DoorDash and it starts to make you money, now that vehicle become an asset because now it's making you money as opposed to costing money. So if I had to speak to my younger self, I would educate myself on what things are liabilities, what things are assets, maximizing my assets, minimizing my liabilities, and making sure I understand the difference. And that's it. There's a lot of small details that fall into that. But that, if I had to speak to my younger self, that's what I would say to my younger self. Because a lot of time when you're young, you just want to have fun. You know what I mean? You get your first car, you want to put rims on it, you want to put, a cranking system in it. And don't get me wrong, I get it because I did it. Don't get me wrong, Benny, no problem, man. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, I've done it. I've had systems, rims, and stuff. And listen, that has not left me. If I had the money, but you got to understand that comes at a cost. And a lot of that stuff that you buy is fun and is enjoyable, and I see nothing wrong with it. But I still would make sure that I maximize my assets and minimize my liability. And here's the thing: if you sacrifice that long enough and do it the right way, it will cover the cost of all that other stuff that you kind of having fun. What's up, my brother, man? Do Magic. God bless you. God bless you. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. We are definitely praying for you, brother. I seen your statement, and you're in my heart. And I pray that all goes well for you. And I ain't got the, at the end of the day, God got you. I know you're gonna be fine, 100. But God bless you. Welcome in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. For those that are in the live, my man Do Magic, please do me a favor. Those that have a praying heart, pray for my brother. He got a situation going on, and we know he's gonna be okay. But prayer always helps motivate all around the board. All around the board. But again, like I said, if you're on this live, please hit the like button. But like I said, that's if I was speaking to my younger self, that's definitely what I would say to my younger self. I learned throughout the years to flip the script, and every little dollar that I get, I learned to maximize my assets. And what I mean by that, at the age of 24 is when I bought, when I got up my first property. It was a rental property, and it was a triplex. And this is what I mean by that. It was a triplex. It was a 3-story house. Needed some work, but it was still rentable. And we moved in on the 3rd floor because that was the smallest apartment. I redid the 1st floor, re-rented it out. 2nd floor, I actually had a tenant that I inherited when I purchased the house. But the point is that we lived in a house, but because it had 3 apartments in there, 2 of those apartments was bringing in an income. So it offset by far my cost of living. So my point is, if I was younger, somebody asked the question, but that question goes so far. Being that I bought a triplex, the expense on the home was by far lower than the rent that I was collecting. Fully rented out at that time, which is a long time ago, was bringing in about $1,600, $1,700 a month. Long time ago. Well, that's if I wasn't renting it. if I wasn't staying there. But even when I was staying there, I was getting a little more than $1,000 a month. The mortgage on that house at that time was about 200 and something, a little more than $200 a month. So you get where that's going. There is a $800, easily $800 gap between the expenses of the home and the rent that I was collecting at the time. And that was years ago, is my point. Is that so if you do it right and you're smart and you're patient and you're very good with your money as a young person, you save, invest. When I say save, saving is investing in me. I don't believe in just sitting money, idle money. I'm sorry. Some people do. I believe that you should have some level of idle money, but I don't like idle money because idle money don't make money. That's just my concept. Idle money doesn't make money. If I see it sitting in the bank and I'm not getting nothing for it, I don't want to sit in there. And I do think that you should have like available cash if something goes wrong, emergency funds and stuff like that. I get all of that stuff, but I don't like idle money. So when I see money that's idle, it starts to irritate me because every day that goes by, I look at that money and saying that that money could possibly be making me some money. So I look for ways to invest it on a regular basis. That's just me. I'm not telling nobody what to do, how to do, or anything of that nature. I'm just saying that's what I do on a regular basis. And that's what I try to stay on that path. And that's what I try to tell people, like, and for those young people that are just starting out, just be careful. Don't get consumed by the credit cards. Don't get consumed by trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I mean? Be mindful and smart with your money. Make smart and wise decisions. Invest. Find solid investments. Take your time. Learn the market. Learn the economy. Learn how money works. And master that part. And if you master that, it's going to affect your life financially overall. You're going to have a good outcome if you're smart, wise, and patient with it. That's it. I made a lot of smart decisions, but I also made a lot of dumb ones. And when you go out there and you spend a ton of money on rims and systems and all of the other stuff, every time you work, you're trying to do this, try to do it. Listen, we all have our things that we like to do, but if I would have been a lot like more. I mean, I believed in saving back then, but I didn't. The level to where I am now is a drastic difference to where I was then. Even though I was very good with my money then, I am by far better with it now. So, but if I was younger then, I would probably easily be. If I did what I was doing now as a young person, I'd be probably a multimillionaire. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would be killing the game right now. But unfortunately, you have family, kids, financials, struggles, all that stuff. I've been through it all. And I'm still going through it to some extent. But one thing I learned to do is I'll take $1. And if it means if $1 invested to me is a great thing. I don't look at it as nothing small. $2 invested to me is a great thing. So me, I believe in small beginnings. I believe that follow what like the Bible says, don't despise small beginnings. So I look at small beginnings as a means of keep taking steps. You know what I mean? If you're building a house, you got to lay the foundation. Eventually, if you start, and it's a brick solid house, not this junk they make today, but if it's a brick house, every time you put a brick in is one step closer to the house being finished. And that house, because of the foundation it was built on and because it was made of stone and brick, it's going to last for probably 100 years. I mean, so that for me is like, I just look at investment the same way. Look for something solid and be patient. Don't look for instant gratification, because a lot of times looking for instant gratification will have you chasing $1 and losing every single time. Once in a blue, you might win, but most of the time you're going to lose because you're chasing $1. But as opposed to changing the concept, finding out what things work, and eventually having that $1 chasing you. What we need is more gun money. Yeah. Why? You know what? Yeah, we do. I mean, I like gun money because I like firearms. But here's the thing. Even with that, I own stock in Smith & Wesson and I own stock in Ruger. Guess what brands of guns I try to purchase? The brands in which I invest in. And I own stock in gun industry with different other things that make ammunition and stuff like that. And I do it because, again, I spend money there. And that's one of my advices that I tell people, that always invest in places where you see other people spend money, and places where you spend money if you can. It's not always the case, but wherever you see your money go, try to get something back out of it. Yeah, it's a good possibility. You might be right. Soon guns will be a dime a dozen. Ammunition will be hard to get. I mean, you might be right. You might be, but again, that's because people let other people control the resources. That's it. If you let everybody control the resources, and you're gonna always rely on what they allow you to have or what they want you to have, that's why you got to have your finger in everything. You gotta learn this thing, and at the end of the day, you find out how to make your own gunpowder, and you find out how to make this, and find out how to make that. You don't want the world to be everybody else to have control over your whole life. You know what I mean? And that's real talk. They do. They always want control, and if you give it to them, you gave it to them. You know what I mean? But again, that's why you stockpile too. That's why you stockpile. You don't just buy stuff. You buy and you preserve and you stockpile. Make sure you got plenty of it, just in case. But anyway, do I make my own ammo? No, I don't. I don't make it, but I know how to, but I just don't. If I had to, I will though. Once they have it, it's all over. It's never over. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, and I get it. It's only over if you allow it to be over. Understanding this, they are always outnumbered by us. Just understand that. At the end of the day, they are always outnumbered by us. We can't just give them the room to think that they have that much power. At the end of the day, God is in control. Number one thing, God is always in control. So they, in my opinion, don't outnumber us. But us is the quiet ones. We are the sleeping giants that nobody knows about and don't know who they are. So at the end of the day, they think they have the power, but the us is the ones nobody know about. They don't holler and scream on the rooftop, I can do this and I can do that. The quiet sleeping giants is the ones you always have to worry about, because they don't talk about it. They just rise in the moment, and you didn't know they was even there. So trust me, understand this. They think they're in power, but the us is the ones no one know about. But that's just my opinion. Did I vote for Trump? Yeah, I did. Thank God I did too. Not only did I vote, but I also campaigned. What's up, Ant Like the Bug? What's going on? What's going on? Bruce, I appreciate you subbing. I appreciate it. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's me. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by the waking up the sleeping giant. You know what I mean? And everybody have their opinion about different things. And like I said, his thing, they didn't realize, if you look at this election, they woke up a sleeping giant, and that's why we got what we got even in the election. And now they lost a whole lot of power through this election because they woke up a sleeping giant. People like me who believe in God, who trust in God and prayed about it. Said, no, I need to know God. I don't care if I said, God, I don't care if I am criticized to no end. I need to know what I'm supposed to do. And that's why I went the route that I went. And I'm getting the results that I actually voted for. And I am not complaining whatsoever. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely. But, like I said, none of us are perfect. We all got our flaws and stuff like that, man. But, that's the route I went. And my thing is this, I was okay with it. You know what I mean? And if I was criticized, I was criticized. But I understood. And here's the thing. This is, regardless of what anybody says and how they feel about it, whatever, I am, everything that I voted for, I'm getting in this last election. And because I trusted God in my decision making. I didn't care what man thought. I didn't care what they felt. And at the end of the day, God, I try to talk to God. I consult with God about every single day of my life, even when it comes to investing, even when it comes to, and do I get it right all the time? No, but I try my best to keep myself focused in that direction. And my thing is this: is that, you know, at the end of the day, none of this stuff is gonna matter when you're dead and gone. So when you're dead and gone, none of this stuff is gonna matter. All this stuff we doing right here is just for a season, for a time period. You know what I mean? And that's why only what you do for God is gonna last. So if you worry and you fear what man think or what their opinion about you, or you if they got, you know, the criticism that come with that, you already lost the battle. You know what I mean? I trust God in everything that I do, and I try my best to trust him. And my thing is this: that is the number one advice I say. Ron's opinion don't matter with a lot of stuff. I say that. But one thing my opinion matters is when it comes to having a relationship with God. That is the one opinion that I 100% stand on, is that if you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. One day you're going to die. And you got to decide at that point where you want to spend that time at. Yeah, they did. And I agree with you. And again, and I agree. You're right. You're absolutely right. They did. They exposed themselves. But here's the thing. We would not have understood it for those that are in this fight. We would not have understood the level of corruption if Biden wouldn't have been in office. So in my opinion, God allowed it for this very reason, for us to understand that, you know what, you know, this is what can happen when you cheat, lie, steal, and you just sit back and don't do nothing. This is what you end up. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that Biden being in office was more of a wake-up call for God's children than anybody else. Stop sitting back and letting people dictate how this world operates and functions. That is my 100% that I feel like this is that I think that the Biden administration was more of a wake-up call for the church and for God's people to wake up and stop sitting back and being lazy and being cowardly and just letting things be as if it's just going to work. No, this is why God has his children here, is that stand up for what is right. Not for who is right, not just so much for who, what. Because if you took them, all of it is what they were doing was the problem, not so much of who was doing it. If the people that was there was doing the right thing, nobody would care. So everyone, what demonic stuff would do, have you focus on the person. That's what evil would do. Have you so focused on the person, not so much of what's going on, what they're doing. And we get blindsided by it. Oh, I like this person. I like this person. They like that. I like. You don't even realize the evil that they're doing. Because you just focus on the fact that you like them. I can care less whether I like somebody. Liking somebody and being qualified to do a job is two different things. That's the one thing I say. And at the bug, I get what you're saying. You're right. One thing I understand is this: people are not always going to agree with you. And I don't look for nobody to agree with me with every single thing in my opinion. But here's the thing about this: is that in the United States of America, hold on. And I agree with you. I agree with you. And my thing is this: is that, and in all honesty, Bruce, and I'm quite sure you possibly noticed, is that right there did not even start with the Biden administration. That started with Obama. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's where that started at. And I know we kind of went off of the money subject, but I always say one thing about me is that I'm very unscripted. And that started with the Biden administration, with Obama administration, not so much the Biden administration. They just was an extension of it. But when Obama was forcing the schools to do all of this stuff in the schools, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I said, why would a man? There's so many things I get into that with it. That conversation will be forever. But why would any man who supposedly have daughters be okay with boys going into girls' bathroom? I don't even mean this. You got two daughters. That don't even make logical sense from a father. Forget being president. From a father perspective, Why would you be okay with men going into boys going into girls' bathroom, men going into women's bathroom as a man who has 2 daughters? That right there did not make sense to me. So that was the one big thing that, so I agree with you when it comes to that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't give a darn how many people like this brother. This don't even make sense to me. And then to have the audacity, Obama, to go to another country. Now here's the part here's the ticker. He went to Africa. He went all the way. That sexuality mattered so much to him that he went to Africa and tried to enforce that behavior on Africa. And they told him, no, we ain't doing that. And the crazy part about it is this. There are so many African Americans, or what we call African American, right here in America, that stand behind this dude like crazy. Like they will literally fight for this dude, Obama this, Obama that, Obama this, and Obama that. But never once did they say, this man didn't even give a darn about Africa, who y'all all keep talking about, y'all from. This man went over there and tried to, he cares so much about it that he put sanctions on Africa because they said no. Meaning he was willing to starve Africa and starve the African children over there in Africa just because they would not accept gay marriages. He was willing to do it. And he did it. And guess what? They still kick behind me. I'm sorry. If I was the only one of the melanated community that stood against it, I would have been by myself because I was never going to be okay with that. And then here's the thing. When you look at the Biden administration, they turned around, and that's why I said they is an extension of that. Because when they got back in office, where was Kamala Harris at? They're back over in Africa trying to enforce that on them again. That's how much it meant to them. So when people talk to me about, oh, nah, that's why I'm where I'm at. There's some things just don't mean, I don't care who you are. And I agree to some extent. I'm not going to say listen, Obama don't have, I agree with you to some extent, but here's my point to that. Obama don't have the power to create diversity. We have that power. You can choose to be diversified or not. Meaning that if whatever he's doing, if that put your mindset in the, oh, I'm going to agree with him and hate another person because of what this man said, and something wrong with you. Because you know internally that that's not right. You just choose because you're afraid of being ridiculed to stand against it. That's it. That's why when y'all hear me talk, I don't care for skin color means nothing to me. I'm just talking this way because of the way that we are as a society. But at the end of the day, skin color means nothing to me. Your character and your integrity is going to tell me a whole lot. I don't care what skin color is around me or what race is around me. But my point is this. If somebody's around me, your skin color is not going to matter other than what your intentions are. That's what matters more. Why are you here and what is your intentions? That's it. And guess what? It don't matter what skin color you in. You either got bad intentions or good ones. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think overall Obama was bad for America. I just think that he was very bad for America. But if you start looking at it from a political perspective and you start paying attention to if you look at the Democratic Party, they don't pick the people that the people pick. The Democratic Party have been installing their candidates for years. We just didn't realize they were doing it. No, I agree with you. Listen, I agree 100%. A lot of people do. I do. Yeah, they have, and this is the reason why I put the church on blast with that, Bruce, is because of that reason. I felt as though that the church is more responsible than the president. The church is more responsible than Obama. The church is more responsible because they cowered out and cowered down. They did not stand up for what was right. A lot of them. Listen, I drove past the church, literally, knowing all of this stuff. They got to know it, and they literally was campaigning for Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, if you go inside the church, there's a man's bathroom and there's a woman's bathroom. And y'all know what the Bible says about that type of stuff, but yet you would campaign for somebody who's endorsing that behavior. That's why I know for a fact that all churches ain't about Christ. All churches are not about Jesus Christ. What they're about is they're about money, they're about wealth, they're about prestige, they're about a whole lot of other stuff. But they're not about salvation, and they're not about Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them isn't. And my thing is this, is that if you knew this is what's going on, why in the world would you allow them to come and campaign? Why would you want that for the rest of the world? You knew that y'all knew for a fact what these people were doing, and y'all were so coward as a church. Here's the thing, and I'll take you a step further, and I'm gonna probably piss a lot of people off, but I don't care. I never did. When that COVID thing happened, right? And the government, the Biden administration told y'all to shut down the churches, right? Shut down. They told you can't go to church and worship your God. And they did it. The churches did it. Some of them churches haven't even came back from that. They still gone, done, wiped out. Now, don't get me wrong. If you ain't preaching the gospel, I'm glad you're gone. But here's my point to that. They let the government tell you that you can't form and go to get together and worship your God. They told you to, just do it virtual. Now, I know the Bible says that Jesus said that when two or more come together in my name, them am I there also. Them am I there also. So anytime the government starts to tell you can't worship your God, that is the point where the government has went too far. And that's where I say the church hasn't got no backbone and cowards. And I'm not saying all churches, but those ones that fell for that trap and bowed down to the government and did not stand up for what is right. Unfortunately, if you're no longer here as a church, I'm glad you're gone. And you're absolutely right. But you could go to the bars and essentials. Listen, you can go to Walmart because Walmart was still open. You can go to all these other places, but yet they telling you can't go worship your God. That's how little they thought of your God. That's how little they thought about what you believe, that they forced you to shut down your church. But see, here's the thing about that. I'm not saying all churches, but they forced you to down it. My thing is this. And then they said, because we don't want nobody to get sick. But yet the church talks about how powerful God is and how powerful Jesus Christ is. And the Bible says that no harm will come to them that walk upright before me. So which one do y'all believe, the government or God? If Jesus Christ in the Bible says that no harm will come to them that walk upright before me, then why are you worrying about some disease out there and not standing on the God? But yet you let the government tell you what you can and cannot do. So I whatever. But I know a lot of these churches get government money. That's why they couldn't do it. And I agree. And my thing is this, is that, and yes, that's exactly what she did. The man said Jesus is Lord, and then the woman, Kamala Harris, turned around and said, nope, not here. Not here. We don't want that here. You're in the wrong place. So my thing is this, if you don't want Christ and you don't want my vote. But then they criticized Trump, and Trump was up there saying, they asked Trump, they said, you're the most popular person in the world. He said, no, I'm not. He said, well, who is? He said, Jesus Christ. That's who. And my thing is this, he wasn't talking about Jesus Christ in the past tense as if Jesus Christ didn't live anymore. And I'm not saying Trump is the most religious or, whatever, because I don't believe in religion. But I'm not saying that I don't know Trump's relationship as it relates to Christ. But at least he was bold enough and took a step back when it came to who was most popular. He said, no, Jesus Christ is, not me. He stepped off of that one. Took himself right off that podium and put who was supposed to be there on that podium, which was Jesus Christ. Kamala Harris said, no, we don't want you here. You still flipping over COVID. No, I'm not, because I never did. How can I flip over something that I did not care about? Now, don't get me wrong, I made some money off of COVID because I knew that they was doing the scamming and all that lying stuff. But outside of that, no, I'm not flipping because I didn't change nothing in my lifestyle because of it. I still live the same way I always lived. And I agree. And he did. And my thing is that he brought common sense back to Washington. That's honestly the biggest accomplishment to me in this whole administration is that he brought common sense back to Washington. Got rid of all that nonsense. Common sense. Because if you think about the stuff that he's been doing, it's just basic common sense. It's nothing profound or groundbreaking about what Trump is doing. It's common sense. Men should be in men's bathroom. Women should be in women's bathroom. That's common sense. Yeah, I agree. They have basically the media. The biggest thing is the media is with me is that and I'm not going to be before y'all too much longer, but I want to just make this point before I get out of here as it relates to the media. I remember the media was saying that this man was racist. So I went and I tested to find out exactly what they were talking about. So I started looking into his history, Trump's history of, and listen, I took myself out of the noise and I said, let me go find out for myself. And the first story I came across was with Jennifer Hudson when she was on American Idol, and I think she won American Idol, and her family had got murdered and slaughtered. And when Trump found out about it, he put Jennifer Hudson and the rest of her family up in Trump Towers for months for rent free to make sure that they were safe. He did this for months. I think she was there for probably like 7-8 months. And he did that for just make sure they were safe. And I'm like, well, why would a person that don't like black people take somebody and put them in Trump Towers rent free and try to help them if they, and then I kept coming across story after story after story. So I'm not going to get into all of them, but this is just, the point is that, so immediately I'm telling you that the media was lying. All that racist stuff was a big bunch of lies. Now, here's the thing. I didn't never believe it anyway, but I didn't care one way or the other. But after digging into it, and I remember when Trump came to Philadelphia and he had his rally in Philadelphia, and I went to the news, and when I was watching the news, they said, oh, it was only a couple of thousand people there. This is what the news said. And I'm like, oh, wow. I was there. I went. Before Trump didn't speak till 7 o'clock. Before he even got on stage, it was well over 2,000 people just outside alone before they even got inside the place. By the time he got inside the place, it was easily 10,000 people there, but they only said it was only a couple of thousand. They tried to downplay it. But they tried to upplay Kamala Harris, which I drove past when Kamala Harris was there. And it was nowhere near the amount of people there for Kamala Harris. What they did not tell you also with Kamala Harris, which is why the media get caught in lies all the time, all of these people that was coming in the Kamala Harris thing was all being bussed in from other places. Because I seen all of these buses parked on the set, like all the way over the streets and on the parking lot. I'm like, well, where's all these buses come from? Because they was bringing them in from everywhere. But when Trump was there, we didn't see that. I seen motorcycles coming in by the groves. I seen people getting out of their cars, dropping their family members, taking their car to go park somewhere, all over the place. Like, this is how people were showing up. It wasn't showing up in a bus, a bunch of people getting off a bus. People were showing up in their own personal vehicles, motorcycles, and everywhere else. And then I was asking questions. So I caught them in a lie. And I'm like, well, the media said one thing, but I'm telling you that that's not the truth. And at some point, I caught them in so many lies that were just like, okay, Trump was right. They do be lying. And they lie a lot. So at that point, I was just like, I experienced it firsthand watching what they were doing. Okay, cool. And then they said the people that vote for Trump, they all racist. They point people, they say, all these MAGA Trump supporters, they all racist. So I went around them. And I kept spending time around them just to see exactly where the racist part was. And I'm not saying there ain't none, because there might be. But for the vast majority of them, no. Didn't experience none of that. So I said, okay, once again, I'm out here testing it by myself. I went with no one. I went by myself. Just to test it. Because I didn't want to be influenced by no one else's opinion. I wanted to grow out, I wanted to form my own opinion. So I went and tested all this stuff by myself. And if you go look at my old videos, you'll see that, yeah, he was there by himself. You don't hear me talking to nobody. And I didn't videotape every single aspect of it. But if you go look at some of my old videos, you're going to say, oh, yeah, he was there. He was by himself. Because I wanted to see. I didn't wear no Trump this, none of that type of stuff. I just had regular clothes on. I didn't try to dress up in some type of political gear stuff because I wanted to see exactly what they were talking about. And I didn't find it nowhere. So over and over, I kept catching the media and the lies. Like, oh, okay. So at that point, I was done with them. CNN, ABC, all of these different news outlets was all in cahoots with each other, all because the Biden administration was forcing them to do certain things, and social media and Facebook, all of it. It was crazy. But I did my own personal research. I said, I don't want to be influenced by this side. I don't want to be influenced by that side. I just want to draw my own conclusion. And then it didn't take long before I came to the conclusion that, oh, yeah, okay, it's game on now. And then that's when I started using my platform, other than me praying about it. I started using my platform to campaign for Trump because I said, oh, okay, I'm in this fight too. I jumped in it. And then I campaigned and I went and I encouraged people to vote and everything else that I could do. Why? Because I said, I'm not nobody that's popular, but I want to save my country too. I want to put my hand in that. And that's what I did. And I did not care how many criticism I took because of it. I didn't care because I knew I was standing for what was right, not for who people like and don't like. This is for the right thing. And that's it. And I'm glad that I did because the results is the economy is doing better. Gas prices coming down. The border is closed. Illegal immigrants are getting shipped up out of here. Crime is coming down because he's trying to stop the crime in my communities, mostly because that's where a lot of this stuff is happening at. My stock portfolio was doing way better than it was under him because of that reason. Because of that reason. And most of the policies and the things that he decided to do has more of a positive effect on America. So rarely have I ever seen a president fight this hard for a country. And in all of that, he takes no paycheck. He hasn't taken a paycheck. So my point is this, is that they can get mad all they want to. You can hate the person all you want to. And I keep asking these people the same question. All right, well, I feel what y'all saying, but noise and complaining and saying all that stuff is one thing. And they never come back with anything solid. So, and for me, you're right. He can't be bought. That's the part they don't like about him the most, is that he can't be bought. Well, I'm not going to say he can't be bought. He hasn't been bought yet. Let's just put it that way. He can't be bought. Let's just say up until this point, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. Up until this point, he can't be bought. To say Democrats and Republicans are all the same is to say that everybody's the same. To say that everybody don't have a mind of their own. This is not my conversation really isn't about Democrat or Republicans, because a lot of them do work in cahoots with each other. But I'm not going to say that every single Democrat. Here's the thing. On the Democratic side, John Fetterman, I actually like. John Fetterman on the Democrat is by far the only Democrat that I actually would vote for. Is John Fetterman, because he's not like the rest of the Democrats. He does think with common sense. So for me personally, I like John Fetterman, and I like his stance on a lot of stuff. Yeah, he do play a little gray area a little bit there, but it's not so drastic that I feel as though that he don't have a mind of his own. And for the most part, he thinks on the interests of the state that he's in, which is Pennsylvania, and he thinks on the interests of the country as a whole. And one thing I appreciate that he said is that I'm not going to bet against the president, because betting against the president is betting against the country. I want our country to do well, no matter who's the president, which I have to respect that he said. And he is willing to personally criticize his own party if they ain't doing right. So I like Fetterman. He's the only Democrat that I would vote for. Now, there's a lot of Republicans I wouldn't vote for. The only reason why a lot of these Republicans got my vote is because I wanted to make Trump's job easier by making sure that the Republicans had the majority in the House and in the Senate. If I had to cipher through some of these Republicans as it relates to voting down party lines, they wouldn't have got my vote. Most of them, all of them outside of Trump got my vote because of Trump. That's it. If I had to go cipher through all of the Republicans that was running, some of them wouldn't have never got my vote. Because honestly speaking, a lot of these Republicans, just like Democrats, are full of crap too. And that's the only reason why they got my vote. I'm not going to sit there and tell you I voted Republican because I wanted all the Republicans. They got my vote because I wanted Trump's job to be easier, and I wanted him to have the majority in the House, and I wanted him to have the majority in the Senate in hopes that he can get the job done and things passed that he was campaigning on. That was it. Outside of that, they wouldn't have got my vote. So I agree with you to some extent, but not 100%. Is my point that I'm making. I agree with you what the Democrats and Republicans are all the same. To some extent, I agree, but not to the full extent. Because you don't have to be that way. But anyway, I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Every single one of y'all. I appreciate y'all time. I do not take any one of y'all time lightly. I know this was about money talk, but every once in a while it goes left field, and I'm okay with that. It does not change anything. I feel as though as a human being, you shouldn't always be so scripted, and you should not always be the same exact time. But I appreciate all my support out the pit. Appreciate you coming in and like the bug. Appreciate you coming in, like and subscribe to the channel. Queen Sackclaw. Appreciate y'all coming in. I really, really do. Ball Striker 8978. I'm gonna go with that. There's a lot going on there. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the conversation, Bruce. I appreciate the time. Appreciate the conversation. It was Ren. Real talk 9562. Appreciate your comment. Appreciate the time. Appreciate it. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. It's always good conversation. I love these moments, regardless to anything. I love these moments where we can get back and talk about different aspects and get different opinions. And I think the more we do this, the more we will understand each other, differences, each other, the things that we agree on, the things that we disagree on, and we come to a better conclusion of who we should have running our country as a whole. Regardless, I don't look at it from a light perspective. I look at it from a job perspective, and I want best qualified. And that's real talk. And sometimes experience don't always make you best qualified. Because I know people that got experience, and their experience does not help the situation. And now we see the immature children that come in. It's always some immature children that comes in here. But anyway, like I always say, thank y'all for joining Ron's Opinion Don't Matter on the OG Network. Thank y'all. But like I always say, Ron's opinion don't matter, especially in some cases. But one thing Ron's opinion does matter in is when it comes to having a relationship with Jesus Christ. That is the one opinion that I stand on 100. So if you don't have a relationship with God, I pray one thing is that you get one. And that's the one opinion that Ron's opinion matters with. The rest of it is just take a conversation. You can take it for what it's worth. It might be right. It might be wrong. It might be this. It might be that. I don't know. But for at the end of the day, the one thing that Ron's opinion matters with the most is having a relationship with Jesus Christ. And y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. And I'm out of here. Peace.
Fellas, ladies, you're looking for lotions, you're looking for beard oils, but unfortunately everything you get from mainstream got chemicals in it and they're probably killing you? No problem, we got you. Go check out my people from Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. That's Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. www.top2bottom, BOTTU, the U is for unique, M.com. Tell them I sent you.